We are about to meet a man who made a type of ground squirrel his passion, and today we get to pick his brain about them.
Theo Manno is joining us to talk about prairie dogs in national parks of the western USA and the book entitled The Utah Prairie Dog, Life Among the Red Rocks. Theo, thanks so much for being here.
Hi, it's good to be here.
Now, I know we were picking your brain on commercial break, but we actually only have about 5% of prairie dogs, and we used to have so many years ago. Kind of tell us about that and why that is.
Well, before Western settlement, prairie dogs took up a lot of the Intermountain West, most of it, and because ranchers dislike them, and also because of housing and the settlement of the West, over the last 150 years, they've been annihilated pretty much every way imaginable. So we're down to about 5% of their former range at this point.
Oh, well, they're so cute and so cuddly. I just watched a bunch of videos before you came on. So why should we care about the prairie dog besides the fact they're so cute?
Well, their behaviors are really interesting. They have really interesting social behavior that have a lot of ramifications for science, and I really enjoyed watching them during my time in Bryce County National Park, and I think readers will enjoy the pictures, and a lot of different species also depend on them for prey as well. So they're what we call keystone species. They're very important for the environment.
So let's talk about your time in Bryce Canyon since you mentioned it. I know you were there with a research team, but you went through some pretty extensive research to see these prairie dogs kind of in action. So tell us about that.
Well, I was part of a research team in Bryce County National Park as a technician, and we spent 14-hour days watching the prairie dog, pretty much living with them. If they did anything, we knew about it, and we observed their individuals, and each one had sort of a different personality. So we essentially lived with them during all of their waking hours, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there was so much to research because they're so, like you said, a keystone, animal. Now, some people at home might be thinking, I've seen kind of some gopher-like things at my house popping up. Are those prairie dogs?
Right. Well, Tucson is actually a little bit west of the prairie dog natural range. We do have black-tailed prairie dogs that have been reintroduced into a territory around the Empire Ranch. You can see them also at the Desert Museum, and those are black-tailed prairie dog. The species that I studied the most is Utah prairie dog, and that's the species on the book. If you'd like to see Gunnison's prairie dogs, you can also see them up in the northeast portion of the state.
So in your book, do you kind of talk about the differences between the prairie dogs? And because this is really fascinating to me that somebody would, devote so much time and energy into this cute little creature. So how is it that you got interested in this?
Yeah, of course, I devote some time to that. There's actually 5 different species, and the Utah prairie dog that I researched is probably the most threatened one, the one that's most threatened with extinction. We tend to lump them in together. We see any type of ground squirrel, rodent in the ground, and it's all about the same, and that's not really true. There's a lot of different species, and they're quite important for the environment. I got into it. I was volunteering at a zoo, and I really enjoyed watching the behavior, and I started researching professors and started working for a professor, and everything went from there. But I got started watching them in a zoo situation, just like the Desert Museum.
Well, I love that you did. Like you said, they have different personalities. They're a lot different, and we kind of know a lot more about even other animals researching them. So, Theo, thank you so much for coming here, telling us about the book, and kind of educating us. I think that was amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. To learn more, log on to Amazon.com and search for Theodore Manno. And for more on the photographer, visit ElaineMillerbond.com.